What's up, everybody? You know what? We are in the midst of a blizzard, so we're staying at home. So that doesn't mean we don't get to work on our games. We can do some other things that are really important to do as you're improving and trying to practice your game. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. We're coming to you again from the desk here. We're going to be looking at some stats. I've gotten a lot of questions about E6 and how do you get your stats, things like that. And also, it's going to be something that you pay for, but they do have advanced statistics. Is it something that I would use as I'm coaching? So we'll go a little bit into that. And this ties in perfectly with stuff that we do and we're going to be doing in our online course, where we are taking you from a range warrior to on-course hero. Those spots are filling up. If you're interested, please make sure you check it out. And if you have questions, please reach out and ask on how it's done and all that stuff. We'll make sure to answer them for you. But let's get into stats. Let's talk about these E6 stats that are available when you have the software and you play rounds. So the first thing you have to do if you're going to use the stats is you have to go to your E6 portal. So you have to go to portal.e6golf.com. You'll log in, and when you do that, you are going to get to this dashboard page. Now, on the dashboard page, you're going to see some kind of, general stats about your rounds and things like that. You do have a driver distance stat, a putt distance stat right there off the bat. But you'll basically see a lot of these stats that we might look at overall. Those are actually going to be more in the individual rounds. But these are kind of some of the basic stats up here on the right that you kind of have throughout all your rounds. So could be pretty good. Again, assuming that you're making sure it's you playing the rounds and somebody's not playing on your name, things like that. I think they can be a little bit helpful when you're looking at greens and reg. The thing that you want to be careful about with these types of stats is it does depend on what club you're hitting. So we don't really use these stats anymore in golf, too much. The PGA Tour does not use them at all, pretty much. They use what's called strokes gained, and we're going to go into that and why it's valuable here in a sec. But again, if you're looking for just kind of a general picture, I would look at these stats and say, yeah, you could say, all right, hey, I'm hitting more greens or whatever, and I'm getting more in the fairway. But if you're hitting it longer and hitting less fairways, that actually might be better than hitting it shorter and hitting it in the fairway, depending on where you're playing. And greens and reg, if you're hitting the ball, if you're approaching the green from 200 yards away all the time, well, you're going to have a low green and reg percentage, no matter who you are. If you're hitting it from 100 yards and you have a low percentage, yeah, then that's a problem. So you have a little bit of an incomplete picture there, but, again, if you start seeing that go up a little bit, it might help you out a little bit. But let's dive into a round here, and again, you can see these down here. You can also see your practice sessions as you go, so some people were asking, can I look at, sessions and see if I got my data and stuff like that? You sure can do that. So I don't do it, but you can. So let's jump into a round here. Just played this the other day. And we were just playing, and this is a course we're going to be playing in a couple of weeks. So me and a few buddies that are taking a trip there, we decided to play it just to kind of have some fun on it, get a little look at it. And, the way I would approach playing a golf course like this in a round is I do try to play it how I think I'm going to play it going in. So maybe I hit driver in the sim, but I'll try to think more of what I would do when I was actually out there. So you'll see you get your scorecards. Again, you get a little bit of the stats down below. Apparently didn't have any sand saves. I don't know how that works. We did not have putting on either, so that goes away. But you get into your stats. Same thing you're going to see here as you're going to see, hey, driving accuracy. I actually don't know if that's correct. I'm pretty sure I missed some fairways. Actually, I'm almost positive I missed some fairways. So that doesn't seem correct right there, right off the bat. So how do we know, is greens and reg going to be good, or is driving distance going to be good? I mean, right off the bat, I'm almost positive I missed a fairway. I believe the second hole I did right off the bat. So that's something there. And then you go through this, you have your greens and reg, and then you can have your stats and stuff, some of the basics down here, and go from there. Now, when you go into advanced analytics, which they are giving you for free, what they're actually giving you is all of your launch monitor data that you can have. And you're getting that down here in this bottom table. So once that populates, you're going to see all the clubs. You got this, you had this, You had some side spins, things like that. So my biggest hook to the left was negative 2,000 side spin. My biggest slice to the right or fade was 1,200 side spin. My back spin. To me, to be honest with you, I don't really think any of this is particularly useful. Like, it doesn't tell me a whole lot if I'm going at it. I mean, maybe if you're somebody that's trying to look and say, hey, I want to see the ball spinning constantly to the left, maybe that's useful. But if I'm playing in this, I'm not doing that all the time. I'm trying to curve the ball wherever it needs to go. And so it's not going to be particularly helpful to me. The other thing that I don't particularly like is that it goes by club. Now, I have no idea if these clubs are correct. I don't do that, but here's why I don't do it in the interest of getting these stats correct. I don't really care if I'm hitting my 7-iron close. I don't look at it that way. I don't say, oh man, I got to go work on my 7-iron, because my 7-iron, I could hit that from 3 or 4 different distances with different shapes and different situations. Depending on what's going on, I could hit that in numerous amounts of ways, different yardages. So when you say to me like, oh, you averaged a certain distance with that club, I'm going to say, well, I don't even know if I was swinging full. To me, that is a big question mark that you're going to have as you're working through a round of golf. The way I prefer to look at rounds of golf is I would rather see what yardage am I hitting from and how close am I hitting it from those particular yardages. So if I could have this up here at the top be labeled in yardages, it would be way more useful, because that's how strokes gained is actually calculated. It's how well you perform from certain yardages. The club is irrelevant. It does not matter what club you're hitting. So that's the way I like to approach things. I like to look at it, see what I'm doing as far as yardages and how close to the hole am I getting it from a certain yardage. So if it came down to doing stats, I don't, if I do a 5-iron, again, assuming that I did hit 3 5-irons and they were labeled right, I would look at this and I'd be like, okay, I carry distance at 168. Well, who knows? Maybe I'm hitting uphill a bunch and then I'm hitting downhill and I hit some farther. I just don't think that's the way you're going to figure out how far you're hitting it. I wouldn't use on-course data for that. I would go to the range and do that. I would do different things in different scenarios. So I just don't see that as being super useful. What I would do if you're actually looking into stats and trying to figure out your on-course stats, what I typically do with players is, if they're a really good player, we do track every single shot and every single yardage, and we say exactly how far away you're hitting the ball from the hole. If you're not a good player or you're somebody that's getting into this, what I actually have you do is give yourself ranges. Like, all right, from anything outside of 120, 125, 130 yards, I want you to track how many times you hit the ball within 30 feet of the hole. If you're going from less, we're going to put it at 20 feet. And they just make little check marks and they see how many they get. And then they go each round and see if they can do better and better. That's what we do, because to me, again, and what we see in golf stats, it's about how close you're hitting the ball to the hole from certain distances, not the club that you're going to do. Because if you're going to practice in a way that's helpful, what you would actually do is go to a yardage and figure out what club you need to hit that yardage. Whereas most people grab a club and figure out which yardage that club is going. And there is a difference. It might sound the same, but there is a difference into how you approach those. You're trying to get the ball to go a certain yardage, or are you just trying to hit away and figure out how far the ball is going? There is a very big difference, even though it might seem like it's not one. So would I get the stats? No. Not at their current state. I think it would actually be easier for E6, where you wouldn't even have to input your clubs if they just started tracking where your distances were coming from and seeing how close you hit it. I think they could easily do some sort of strokes gained for the advanced analytics. Then I would be all in. I think that would be pretty cool. But in the current state, I think you're better off actually just looking at the statistics page that already comes with it. Seeing if your greens and reg go up, seeing if your driving distance goes up, seeing if your putting distance is getting closer on average. I think that could be a really good thing, and something that would probably translate, a little bit more effectively than just working on individual clubs there. So that's my thoughts on it. That's how I wouldn't use it. And, you know, again, you might find it useful, but if you're somebody that's looking for that stuff, go check it out, see if it's something that you're interested in. That's how you get to it, and take a look. So that's what I think, and that's where we're at. So thanks everybody for watching. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Otherwise, if you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.